Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dental Handoff. I'm Dr. Kelly Tanner, and today I have with me the Brad Hughes. Brad, thank you so much for being on today.
I appreciate you for having me, Kelly. I'm excited to be here.
Yay. Brad has got so much to tell us about his journey. Brad, we always ask, why dentistry, this wild world of dentistry? Why did you choose it?
All right, we got 28 minutes, so I'm going to give you the 29-minute answer. Um, I genuinely believe I'm a third generation dentist. I don't think I chose dentistry. I think dentistry chose me.
Mm,
I firmly believe that from the moment I was born, for whatever reason, this is what I was destined to do. And I wake up every day with that mindset. And I think it's really the reason that I just absolutely am in love with what I do and have so much stinking fire for it. Um, and it's not because my dad or my grandfather or anybody, we didn't even talk about it. We never talked about going into dentistry. I mean, I was
really?
literally not a single time. In fact, I was literally driving down in my parents' car to Indiana University to be dropped off for my freshman year, and I'm freaking out in the back seat because I've never done laundry. Like, I really seem completely helpless. I had never done laundry. I had I had, like, this bike registration that I had to, like, fill out for the university because, like, who know like, it's college, right? If you get your bike stolen, they don't care anyway, but you gotta register everything. And I'm, like, freaking out because I gotta fill out this form, like, I'm so helpless. My dad's like, "What do you wanna do?" I'm like, I want to go to dental school. And you can kind of see his eyes in the rearview mirror sort of look up at me like, okay, cool. And, off we went. I just feel like it shows me. And, I couldn't be more proud. My grandfather started practicing 71 years. It was 2000, it was 1954. So it was 71 years ago. And, which
Wow.
is pretty amazing. And my dad started practicing in 1980 and me in 2007. So, I'm just incredibly grateful to wake up every day in an industry, honestly, that I feel like chose me.
Yeah, it sounds like it's in your DNA. They
It's
just
in my
placed it
DNA,
there.
and I think honestly, the reason for me, if you had to narrow it down, if I really had to peel back the layers, the thing that attracts me to it the most is the people.
Mm,
When we used to go out to Pizza Hut on a Friday night in the local community where my dad practiced, or when we'd go to the grocery store, everybody, my little league games, everybody knew my dad. Everybody knew my dad. And I'm like, that's awesome. I love that. I want to go do that. But it wasn't what he did, it's just who he was.
right. Yeah.
And I think I took a lot from that. And that's why I wanted to do it.
Yeah. Dentistry is about connection.
Yeah.
That's how we're built. I mean, that's what we're built for. To lead people through decisions. There's some very tough decisions and things that will change their life, and it's sometimes hard conversations, very happy conversations. You are in a position. We are in a position to truly change lives. So knowing that you've come from this long line of dentites, did this? What do you think changed? I mean, you're sitting here. You're this dentist now. What are some conversations you think are different that you have now in dentistry than what your dad did or your grandfather did? Other than, like, milling and things like that. Are there some things that are same and then some things that are starkly different?
I think there's an amazing amount of things that are the same. And so what do I mean by that? You hit the nail on the head, Kelly. It's still a connection game. Patients want to go to somebody, to a dentist, to a hygienist who they share similar interests and values with, and they can feel a connection with.
Yeah.
That has not changed since 1954. And I think the thing that has changed the most is the commoditization of that relationship game. We are way more commoditized as a dental space now than we were in 1987. So there's more conversation sometimes around that. I think patients tend to treat us a little bit more as a commoditization or as a commoditized industry because we act like we're a commoditized industry. Every time we're doing $99, um, you know, hygiene specials and free exams and x-rays and free second opinions and, all the race to the bottom pricing, all of that commoditizes the industry. And I think that allows patients sometimes to treat us that way. And so
Yeah.
those conversations do happen. Um, but I think honestly, as much as people want to talk about the innovation in dentistry, and as often as they want to talk about technology, and as often as I don't think like there are some new things. Cool. There's some fancy new gadgets. But you know what? It's not that different than when I started 18 years ago. And honestly, it's not that different than what my dad was doing in 1991. It's still mainly around connection and brand. And when you can be a local legend in your community within that 10-mile radius around your practice, you can kill it. And by the way, you can kill it without having to have a CEREC and every laser under the sun and all of that stuff. Like those are fine, but like at the end of the day, it's still a people game.
Yeah, it's that's what people are looking for. I mean, you go I don't know. I just don't I remember, Brad, this is a funny story, I don't really tell it that often. There was a guy in my class when in hygiene school. His name is escaping me right now. We were 3 weeks in to hygiene school, and he drops out, and we're all like, "Where did he go? Is everything okay?" Like, he seemed to be fine, there hadn't been that many grades in, he couldn't be failing at this point, and he had told one of the classmates, he said, "I didn't realize I'd have to touch people." Like, literally. People and we I don't know sometimes if people realize how much we have to be there also for other people, though, too, and to pause and to hold space for them and to not be so commoditized of, we have only this much time because that's the truth of it, right?
Mhm.
It's built for that much time, and when you need this much time, that means second appointment, that means more time off from work, that means more chair time for you. And Brad, you have many offices. How many offices do you have?
We have 9 in my group.
9 in your group. So how do you how would you say that your team and you that kinda scale that relationship to make time for it, to do the motivational interviewing, to make sure that your brand is embedded in those conversations?
It's hard. You've got to be incredibly intentional about it. But I spend half of my day talking about it, meaning to my management team, to our team members. It is the number one conversation I have with all of our doctors. I'm not the dentist. If we have a younger dentist, yes, we will mentor and I will coach and they will spend a month with me clinically and we will get them up to speed and moving, doing this. But the main thing we're going to talk about is this and this. And that's the soft skill development. And I'm obsessed with the soft skill development. And so we just, we are obsessed with it. I am obsessed with it. It is what we talk about literally 50% of the day. And it is just embedded in the culture of everything that we do. And then that trickles down into the practices to our patients.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think there's anything more important. At the end of the day, like we can try to overcomplicate this game, and many do, but there's only one interaction that matters: provider and patient, and it's that interaction between those two. And everybody tries to really complicate this dental game, right? I think just so they sound important. That's the only thing that matters is what goes on
Yeah.
face to face.
Yeah.
And I think people really undervalue the mental capacity, the mental strain that as you're learning, there's the hard skill development and the soft skill development, and the mental side of that, I think, is 10 times harder than the hard skill development. And so many young dentists and hygienists, I don't think realize that getting into it. The amount of empathy that you're going to have to deploy with patients,
Yeah.
not sympathy, but empathy,
Right.
it's hard. It's a very hard game. And I have a lot of respect for those that do it at a very high level.
Do you teach it to your team, Brad, or do you have trainers who come in? Do you teach them about empathy? And how do you teach one this?
Empathy's tough. We heavily invest in soft skills. Most of those conversations revolve around me and what I've done for 18 years, and how I've come up and seen hundreds of thousands of patients, et cetera, et cetera. I give them the things I've screwed up, the things I wish I could have gotten better at faster. I get them heavily involved in conversations around things I've done very well. Um, it's really an obsession for me. So I love being that coach. I will have that conversation 8 hours a day. I will still be fired up at the end of that 8 hours, and I will want to go another 8 hours. But after 8 hours, people get tired of listening to me. So really, after like an hour, they get tired of listening to me, and then I'm still going on for 7 more. But it's empathy's tough though. Empathy really, because it gets bungled so often. The sympathy versus empathy, like sympathy where people bring in their own bias around money and things like that. There's so many providers that are bringing in their own story,
Right.
and sympathy gets involved, and that's not a healthy relationship between provider and patient.
Right.
So, we do have a lot of conversations to get that more over to the empathy side, because the work's still got to be done and you still got to be incredibly influential. And you can only do that when you're coming in from a place of gratitude and empathy, and not from a place of sympathy. So we do talk about it a lot.
Yeah, it's holding space and taking yourself out of it and giving of yourself something that you may not have.
Mhm.
It's the empathy is, yeah, as I call, like, not putting your own filter on it. Like, not installing the filter into your vantage point, but it's allow the person to be, to hold space, to hear them, to hear what they're not saying as well, and
Mhm.
I what you said resonated with me so much about the the energy, the energy it takes to connect with someone intentionally, because we're like this all day. We're talking, I mean, not all of us are talking with with our hands in our mouth, but I mean, you can't help but some of it, because the patients are like, "Okay, you gonna get moving? Like,
Yeah,
do
like,
something," right?
well,
It's just they're when they're are checking their phone, you can see
yeah.
you're like, "Are you okay on time?"
Uh-huh.
"Oh, well, crap, I've talked too long," but it's I remember, and I don't know if everyone experiences this, but when when you first graduate from school and you go into private practice, the technical skills, you're getting used to all that. You're getting used to your time frames, but then having to be as happy as you were, the first patient and your 4 o'clock patient is like,
Mhm.
"Whoa, that's so much." That was so much, and for so long, I felt like it was so much. I feel like that was the biggest thing that would that was, because that 4 o'clock patient deserves the best of me too, but when you're giving little bitty pieces, and I'm sure you talk about it, Brad, too, but taking those micro breaks during the day
Yeah.
to rejuvenate yourself, even if it's while you're washing your hands, to breathe, you know, get some yoga breaths and some deep
Mhm.
breaths in, because you gotta put your oxygen mask on first.
It is tough, and I can very clearly remember like it was yesterday, you know, 15, 16 years ago, that lunchtime, I would go, I mean, like, I eat significantly better now than I did when I was 27, 28 years old, 29 years old, but I would go down and I'd grab, like, an Arby's sandwich,
Oh, so good.
and I would sit in the parking lot of the movie theater next to Arby's, and I would turn on Colin Cowherd on ESPN radio, and for 45 minutes, it was just that, and that was, like, you got to turn the morning off. You were just, like, preparing for the afternoon because you just needed that little mental reset, and then you just develop that muscle over time to where you don't need that as much. I don't need that now. I haven't needed that for a decade or maybe 12 years,
Right,
but you gotta get to that point, and I really think it takes a good 5 or 6 years to get to the point where you need less of it. I still need it, it's just way less often now.
mm.
So, those young dentists and hygienists, gosh, I just, it's so amazing. Like, we had a young dentist that joined my group about a year and a half ago, and I told him from day one, he spent like a month with me in my office, and every day I'm like, do not compare yourself to what I'm doing on a daily basis. Like, you're gonna go back and you're gonna be in your own practice. It, like, the first 6 months are gonna be incredibly hard here. And I remember being up there at that 6 month point. He looked white as a ghost, and he's just like, I'm like, dude, you're beat down. Yeah, I am. I listened to you, but I don't know that I heard you 6 months ago when you were saying all of this. I came back a month later. He had cut, and we talked. We talked for like 2 hours that day about a lot of things, and it was great. But you know what? Kudos to him, because he broke through that mental wall. And a month later, He had color again. He's kicking ass.
He's got a pulse.
It's hard. I mean, like
Yeah.
the dentist that replaced me in my practice here in South Carolina, she's been practicing for 7 years
Mm.
and joining the practice. It's still gonna mentally take it's a next level up for her, and it's gonna take that next mental jump for her as well. It is just significantly tougher from a mental standpoint unless you've done it. You've done it, other dentists have done it, other hygienists, unless you've been in that point of contact with a patient all day, I just don't think
Yeah.
you can I think it'd be very hard to relate.
It's like training for an Ironman. I would say, like, the more you train in the different rigors of what you're doing and the different scenarios, maybe that's not the right analogy, but it's the training for the marathon where you are it's not the sprint, it's not 20 sprints, it's years worth of sprinting and knowing that it's that resilience
Yep.
and acknowledging, "Oh, I've been here before, and what did I do last time?" And having that point of reference for yourself and being able to snap out of it. I love that you said, "Don't compare yourself to me." Because that's the man, that does us all in, doesn't it? And as business owners, as clinicians, as humans, I mean, we dress a certain way, we look a certain way, we're looking at someone else's dentistry and did that turn out right? And what would they have said about this? All the voices in our head.
Yeah. Judgment judgment has killed a lot of dreams. Judgment has killed a lot of relationships. Judgment has hurt a lot of individuals because, I mean, we self-judge more than we probably do anything else, and, um, judging yourself on somebody else's chapter 10 is just the best way to be incredibly unhappy. You just can't do it. You've got to be able to look yourself in the mirror, and no matter where you're at, like the fact that you're consciously aware of where you're at already puts you ahead of 90% of other people because most people have a complete lack of self-awareness around where they're actually at. So when you really know where you're at, don't judge yourself. Just go, okay, to get to here, I got to take these steps. And like that's the game.
Yeah,
And I love that because we're all on that journey.
we are. We really are, and, if you were to being the mentor for the years that you have been in all the different situations, are there maybe top 3 things that you're addressing all the time? If you had, like, a YouTube video, you could say, "Hey, here's the top 3 things that I could say to you that I deal with every single day that help people." What would those 3 things be?
Well, we just touched on one. Number one, don't judge yourself. That
Mhm.
is a big one. If I could sit there for 1 hour a day and just record videos on that and shoot it out to the world, it would be do not judge yourself because you don't know what the other person's been through. You don't know what the other person's going through right now. And if you want to get to chapter 18, guess what? 1 through 17 were really freaking hard. So just be prepared if you want that lifestyle or if you want that thing or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Number two, uh, you know, soft skill development is how you succeed and how you build brand in any industry. Um, you've got to figure out which soft skills you need to get better at. Like for me, authentic communication, storytelling, and charisma have been maybe the biggest 3 soft skills that I've worked on over the last 18 years to help me get to the point that I'm at. And I know that I need to keep getting better and better and better and better. Um, Number 3, you've got like ego kills dreams. Be coachable, lose ego. We don't know everything. I don't know everything. You don't know everything, whoever I'm talking to. Like, just like be okay with that.
Yeah.
Be curious, get rid of the ego. You're just not going to go. I've seen ego just destroy some incredibly talented people who just cannot get out of their own way.
Yeah. And as you're saying ego, some people think of it as like, "Dude, my hair looks good," but it's like the but it's the ego is good, like, we need some ego, right? We need some ego to say,
Ego's fine.
"That
You
composite, I mean, I nailed that anatomy on that. Yeah, that was great. Man, look at the margins on that." To know the difference, right? To have the contrast. But it's like I say, Brad, it's like if when there's ego, we don't go. There's no we go. And so we have to put ourselves aside so we can go together to hold that space, to hold that without filter, hold that space with a person to say, "What do you think?" too, because as you're talking, I'm listening thinking about this isn't just clinical dentistry, it's about team. It's about because the patients pick up on all that.
Mm,
Right? It's the how you're treating your teammate and how they are perceiving you and how that shows up in the community and being a legend in your 10-mile radius.
mhm.
Because if
That
they
is
go in
everything.
and they feel anxious and they're like, "I don't know, like, it seemed like really ten tense in there," then they're gonna be like, "I don't know if I like the way that feels."
Doesn't work. And that the feel part is exactly what keeps their ass coming back time after time after time after time. That's the entire it's their perception of your ability to create value, your ability to have good culture, your ability to let them feel like you care about them, your ability to connect with them. If you can't do those things, they're going to Johnny or Sally's office down the street. Like, it is just that simple, and it's tale as old as time. And then they're scratching their head why they lost 14 patients this week. It's because you can't get along, because you've been a jerk for a month, because you're bringing outside things in from your personal life. Like, you've got to be able to leave that stuff at home. But ego, um, you can be wildly confident. You should be. You need to develop the ability to be confident. You need to be able confident in yourself. You need to have 100% confidence in you that comes from internal, by the way, not external confidence, not external validation, from yourself. And then you don't have to worry about ego. Like, confidence, 100%, like, you should be wildly confident in yourself. And if you're not, you need to figure out how to get there. Yeah, I mean, like, one of my favorite people on earth, Tim Grover, who was like, Michael Jordan's coach or a trainer and Kobe's trainer and D Wade's trainer. He's like, look, yes, like, a little ego is good. Like, you got to have that, if you want to get after it in life.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
sometimes it gets taken a little far, and um, can't do that.
Brad, what do you think about the people who are they're just like, "I don't know why this office is like this. Why is it like this? Why does it keep repeating?" Maybe it's doctor owner, maybe it's hygienist, maybe, where you keep repeating your same patterns or they keep showing up. They don't realize that they're part of the problem. How would you go about going because they're thinking it's everybody else. To your point of like it's internal. In this it's internal. Like you're not realizing that you're creating the ripple effect. How do you interact with that? How do you interface?
I mean, you've got to get people to be consciously competent and aware of what's going on. And when somebody's, you know, unconsciously incompetent of something and they're part of the problem, we as a leadership team, being a leader is not easy, right? Like, I'm not really into like super soft leadership and like I'm just here to guide people throughout their day. Like, I'm here to lead them throughout their day, to help inspire, to help lead the way so that as they're coming behind me, I've laid that path, and as they branch off on their own, they can go kick ass. But you just got to have the conversation. If the same patterns keep repeating, number one, you cannot protect people who do not protect your culture and do not take stewardship over the practice.
Yes.
And we have had to move people who were good producers out of the company. We've had to remove people who have been with the company for a long time because they just got to the point where they thought they were just too big for what we were doing. All of those things. I think too often, and I run into this a lot on social media. I get a lot of DMs. That exact question, Kelly, is I'm working in this practice and the practice manager's been here for 14 years and Dr. X won't say anything to her and she's coming down on me with this and I'm just trying to do, it's like, as a leader, you've got to be able to you know, really reverse engineer where is the problem, who is the problem, either fix it through conversation and then allow them to go through actions, you know, be better, or you got to move on.
Yeah. I find in my experience and through coaching, consulting, being a hygienist, that doctors don't wanna they just wanna do the things and be the
Yeah,
artist. They don't wanna deal with all that.
you're right.
So how do they that's frustrating for the team member who's like, "Okay, I've already talked to the office manager about it. It's not changing."
Yep.
Like, I'm following the chain of command, but I'm hitting a wall, and I really love it here, and I'm here for the patients, and I believe in what the doctor does, but I'm looking at the door,
Mhm.
and I don't know what else to do. So, what I say to them there is, model some of the behavior that you want to exist. Still, I would go directly to the person that I think is in the right way, respectfully.
Yeah,
And but it's hard when things don't change as well. And that's where people start to feel really burnt out and they leave.
and they leave, and you lose good players because of that. And I think it really comes down at the core. And this is like a very macro statement, but it comes down to the core of why the dental space is where the dental space is, which is less private practice ownership, and why so many doctors are looking to partner with groups or sell their practice and then work the final 10 years of their career with somebody else managing and running operations because they want to do the work, and it's harder to be a leader in your practice. It's harder to recruit on your days off. It's harder to recruit on your eat with your evenings. It's hard to
Yeah.
recruit on your Saturday mornings. And like recruitment is harder than it's ever been. Managing teams is harder than it's ever been. Being a good leader is hard. And that takes away from the dental side. They don't want to do all of that. So it's partner. Somebody else can try to do it. But the problem with that is the leader of the practice still needs to be the dentist.
Yeah.
It cannot come from anybody else in a well-run practice. It has got to be the dentist in that practice, and not just because they have like for multiple reasons, but they have the authority. They're the ones making the decisions, and it can come from other people, but at the end of the day, the main leader of the best practices that I've ever seen, that leadership structure starts and stops with the doctor.
Yeah. Yep. So you can have the reshaping of the culture and the and
Absolutely.
managing some of that, and that's always been my experience too, Brad, where doctor does step in and says, "Hey, you know, how can I support you? I'm hearing from the office manager and from you the different things that have happened, and tell me in your own words how what you think is happening and what we can do here," or however that sounds, but it means so much too, I think, from that
Yeah.
team member coming from them. There's value, I mean, there's value in all of it in the support, but to know that you're being heard and to hold space and to feeling validated that someone is listening to what is going on, like, "Man, am I going crazy here?" Because you feel like nothing is changing because nothing's changing, you know? Ugh,
And you've got to have that support. And I think what you and I have probably heard a lot of is when the doctor doesn't want to step in and help, and that really is where bigger problems arise. And can't have that. So when the doctor's willing, awesome. That support is needed, and that's what leaders do.
yeah. So what do you think where do you think doctors go to get the support they need to learn how to be the leader that they need to be or that they want to be or aspire to be and all that stuff?
Well, it's not at most dental meetings, I can tell you that. Um, I think you probably agree, and if you don't, we can talk about that too. Most dental meetings are not set up like most dentists are not going to sit with 400 other dentists to listen to one speaker on stage, and all of a sudden it's like, bam, now I'm a great leader.
Yeah.
I think it starts internally, and I think it starts between the doctor and the mirror. And when they finally commit, and I'll tell you a story around this. I'll make it quick. A practice that we partnered with in Indiana this year, Randy Stoffer, and he'll probably listen to this. So Randy here, I'm telling your story, man. But he's a great dude, great dentist. we sat down last December and I called out his bullshit. And at the end of it, his eyes were welled up. He was a little teary. He's like, "You're the first person." I mean, this is a 54-year-old man at the time. Maybe he's 55 now. I don't know. I might be undervaluing him. He looks good either way, right? But point being is, we sat down and we had an honest conversation about where he wants to get the practice, but he hasn't been able to figure out how to get the practice there. Sitting down and just having somebody go, "No more BS, no more excuses from you, doc. No more excuses." And you could see that light bulb going off, almost like it was like you were revealing him from behind a curtain. It was like a whole new man emerges and he's like, "I'm free to go be that kind of leader."
Mm,
And he's like, "I need to be around you guys more often." So I think part of it, honestly, is just hanging around people who share that similar mindset. And I just don't think it's going to meetings, like going to meetings and collaborating and going out drinking with everybody. Like, that's just not the thing. You've got to be around, you've got to surround yourself with people that are going to elevate you up and allow you to know that it's okay to be you and be the kind of leader that, is in there. And it was amazing. And it's amazing this day. Like, we've built a phenomenal team around him. He's got great support. He had his best day in practice in 30 years, like last Thursday. We're just going to continue that momentum, right? And that's the fun stuff for me, is to sort of peel that onion layer back and like give them permission to be who they really are without feeling like they have to hold back.
yeah.
And that just starts with honest conversations with people who are like-minded, in my opinion.
Right. And so to acknowledge the change that you need to make, look in the mirror, find people who can support you and say, I do really want to change in this way to receive the support. Brad, thank you. These are great nuggets, and I knew our time would fly because this we're just in a trance. I'm in my flow talking to you. I'm like, "Oh, I can go for 3 hours." Thank you so much for coming on. Maybe we'll have you back if you're available. I would love
Anytime.
to
You tell me when, Kelly.
tackle some topics with
Yep.
you that would be beneficial to the audience. So, thank you again for being on.
Yeah, my pleasure, Kelly. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, and to all the listeners, you know how much I love and appreciate you. Would you mind doing me a favor? Would you mind going over to Apple Podcasts, the one that matters, to give the Dental Handoff a 5-star rating because we've earned it, hopefully. And if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and press the little like button and put a little comment in there so the algorithm knows that you love us and so it's recommended, and subscribe while you're at it. All right. Thank you for all that you do. We will see you again next week. Thanks again, Brad.
Thanks, Kelly.
Be well.